All right, the Oregon Ducks are going to take on Utah here in this one on Saturday. And you have the Ducks here on the road, minus 6.5, total 48.5 or so coming into this one. Utah can be terrific at home still. I mean, I don't think there's any problem with this Utah team. Are the Oregon Ducks a title contender? Yeah, of course they are. They're looking great right now. But as much as I've talked up the Pac 10, they always kind of stumble or struggle or whatever. And in the Pac 12, the teams knock off each other. It's the carnage that always gets it done. I think that's kind of been the problem over the years with the Pac 12 to a certain extent, getting the recognition that they need because they do end up with road victories in conference against tough teams, sometimes against mediocre Pac 12 teams. And that's what happens. And it could happen here in this one. Now, look, Oregon scored more than 33 points a game so far this season with Nix and his great job that he's been doing. The Ducks on the road have been fine. They beat Texas Tech on the road. They crushed Stanford on the road. Their only losses to the Huskies, that 3-point game. So far with Lanning, they're covering numbers on the road. They're 5-2 as a road favorite. They're 9-4. Their last 13 in conference. Utah's coming off a game against USC where they won on the road, 34-32. So that may have taken a lot out of them. But if you're going to offer up 6.5 points now, Utah State, look, I mean, Utah State, do not do that. There's no comparison. I mean, look, Utah, the Ducks they've lost here the last 2 trips. Utah still has that defense. I'm sorry. I'm taking Utah. I'm not totally down on this Oregon situation, but this just feels like it can be close. I'm not worried about the Cam Rising. I mean, he never was going to play this season, right? He wasn't going to play. He's not going to play. It's done. It's over. But we've been playing with a different quarterback all season anyways so far. So we're going to be just fine. Utah's 4-0 at home so far. They've got a great coach. This is a great situation for Utah. They're 12-4 against the spread. Their last 16 at home. Oregon's been covering numbers, no doubt about it. But I'm gonna be taking Utah here for sure. I also, I'm on Utah. Give me Utah here plus the points. Look, Oregon's great. Thomas is on Utah. Lean to Oregon here. Give me Utah. Let's keep it moving. The Georgia game against Florida. We're ready for the world's biggest cocktail party in this one with Georgia and Florida in Jacksonville, of course, as always. The world's largest cocktail party, and what's going to happen? Look at Georgia as what are they 14.5 here now? This one opened 15.5, but the look ahead. The early look ahead had Georgia as high as 20.5. And maybe given what we know now again about Florida, right? They are 4-0 at home. We'll mention they are just 3-4 against the spread. Georgia, for their 7-0 record, is 2-5 against the spread thus far. They've just been laying, too many points. But with Mertz, people want to make fun of Mertz, but look, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But I wanted to see did they move this line any low? Can they move this line any lower? I'm interested in Georgia. If they do. I'm kind of interested in Georgia right now. I might just have to lay this on the show. It's still 14.5. Boy, I guess I'll still lay it on the show here, but I want to make sure I get it down to at least 14. In fact, 12 and a half would be beautiful. I'd even lay some juice here to get involved with it. I think you're getting a big discount on Georgia, actually, um, in the matchup. They won last year's game 42-20 at home. They also won here the year before 34-7 as 14 a 14 point uh, dog back in 2021. So I want Georgia. I want to lay the points here. I know that maybe Florida might be getting some attention from sharps here in this one, but Ray's on Georgia and Thomas is on Georgia also. So I will take Georgia here and lay the points. Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. Notre Dame comes in 6-2, 4-1 here at home. Pittsburgh 2-5, 0-3 against the number. Look, this thing's up to 20, 20 and a half now. Wow. I'll just put a 21. How's that? I'll just put 21 because I'm taking Notre Dame to roll here against Pittsburgh. Not something I'm too apt to doing, laying 3 touchdowns with a Notre Dame team, but right now I think I am in this one. Notre Dame just continues to roll in conference. They've covered 10 out of their last 11 conference conference games right now. So Pittsburgh just won 5-1 against the spread. Notre Dame, you'd think, good teams usually good record and don't cover numbers. Well, Notre Dame 6-2, straight up 6-2 against the spread. So I'm going to take Notre Dame here. They did beat Pittsburgh in their last meeting 45-3. That was 3 years ago, but it was in Pittsburgh. I'm going to take Notre Dame. They're off the, of course, big win over USC. They beat USC here by 4 touchdowns at home, remember? So why couldn't they roll here against a Pittsburgh team that lost to Wake Forest last time out? They've lost at Virginia Tech. We know that can be tough, but they lost at home to North Carolina. They lost, at Cincy. So I'm going to take Notre Dame here. I'm going to lay these points. Iowa State and Baylor in this one. Iowa State comes in with a 4-3 record, 1-2 straight up record on the road for Baylor. They're coming in with a 3-4 record and a 2-4-1 spread record. They are just 1-4 straight up. So been a bit of a disappointment here for Baylor this season, but Iowa State has apparently been taking all the action here so far this week, and I'm not about it. I'm not about laying it with Iowa State on the road. Sure, have they been better right now? Yes. Is something amiss with Baylor and their situation? Maybe, but I don't want to play Iowa State here on the road right now. Baylor won last year 31-27 on the road. Baylor won here the year before that, although they did not cover in that one. Or no, that one in 2 years ago. Let me see. Oh, 31-29. Baylor, they were a 6.5 point favorite. Iowa State got the money in that one. Okay, no problem there. Anyways, I'm going to end up here on Baylor in this one. I've seen some pretty good handicappers on Iowa State this week. Iowa State's taking all the action. I get all that. But remember, Baylor is coming off a win against Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati been kind of hit or miss. Yeah, but that was big for Baylor because they had lost at home to Texas Tech by like 25 points. So they've also beaten Central Florida on the road. Iowa State lost at Oklahoma State. Remember that talked about game 50-20. Now, they do have a common opponent here, in fact, because Iowa State, they are coming off the bye, but they played Cincinnati last time out and won 30-10 at Cincinnati. So maybe people looking at that too, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm taking Baylor at home here. Baylor might be broken a little bit. I'm going to take points at home. All right, BYU and Texas. Hey, this game looks like it should be a game, a match, uh, a game that's matched up, but not a great matchup this time. Or maybe always going to be sided to Texas. I'm just saying these two teams should meet, BYU and Texas, and now that they're in the same conference, they will. Here with Texas favored big time at home by 17 and a half in this one against the Cougars. All right, Texas comes in here with a 6-1 record, 3-1 so far at home. Both BYU losses so far this season have come on the road. They're 1-2. Both teams are 3-4 against the spread so far this season. BYU just 4-9 in their last 13 road games. It is a tricky number, especially at 17 and a half. Probably going to want to try to get off that, get it down at least a couple of points lower, maybe lay a little bit. I'd be willing to do it. I know people aren't going to lay any extra juice here when they're talking about 2 touchdowns, but I am. And Thomas and I often in agreement, but not here. I like Texas right now. These are the type of games for Texas. If they're going to still try to stay in the hunt for the national championship, you need to roll. Look, Quinn Ewers, his status for the game is certainly in doubt in this one, and that is the big news surrounding the game. But this is the University of Texas after all, and they have a certainly a backup that can come in here in Malik Murphy to do the quarterbacking in this one for Texas. For Murphy so far, he's just been in there just a handful of snaps so far this season, but he'll be the man in this game. I think he'll be fine. I've got Texas to win it. The spread hasn't really been affected necessarily too much by it. Like I said, make sure you get it down. I would say get it down under 16 points. The lower you can get it, maybe you can go down a little bit. You never want to get up over $2 or anything for too many points. But I do like Texas's chances to get it done here against Slovis and the Cougars. All right, Mississippi State and Auburn in SEC action right now. The Bulldogs here on the road are getting 6.5 from the Tigers on Saturday afternoon, late Saturday afternoon. You got Auburn coming in with just a 3-4 record. 2-2 straight up at home thus far. Mississippi State comes in 4-3. They're 2-5 against the spread. Both teams are 2-5 against the spread. Actually, last year these two teams played. Mississippi State won a wild one, 39-33 at home. In that one, they were a 12.5 point favorite, I believe, in that one. Before that, Mississippi State won at Auburn 43-34. So these two teams have combined to go close to 80, close to or over 80 points in each of the last two meetings. I don't know if that's going to be necessarily the way this one is going to go. The total right now is down to 41. Let me update that. I'm sorry if the other spreads were a little off. I didn't update them. We're in a hurry here to finish this show, I'm afraid. But for me, I'm probably going to be more apt to take Mississippi State in this game plus the points here. You have Mississippi State. Look, they haven't been too great in conference, but they do play pretty good defense. And I would think against, Auburn and their offense has not been, it's run oriented for sure at Auburn. I mean, I think they might have 1,000 yards passing so far this season. So for Mississippi State here. I'm going to take the points in this one on the road, getting 6.5 or so. Will Rogers is questionable, so that tempers my enthusiasm on it. Is also why I'm still kind of making it a free play, and I'm sure that's probably reflected in why the line is where it is. Because I don't know, maybe if Will Rogers was probable, it would be under 6. Um, I did see an early look ahead as low as 4 here, so definitely some injuries on the defensive front as well for Mississippi State, but I'm willing to take 6.5 points here in this one. Total down to 41. I kind of wanted to go under, but I'm not going to do that to you. Well, USC is going to take on California. Pac-12 action on Saturday in this one for USC. They're favored here by double digits on the road. Uh, Obviously, I watched the Laker game last night, and I saw uh, Caleb Williams sitting in the front row. I mean, he's obviously got money. Is taking just some time out from working on being a professional sports franchise owner to play this game on. He's going to pro basketball games. He's working on being. He's going to take his time out of his schedule to play. He's obviously very focused on the Cal Bears here moving forward. Give me Cal. This will be the game. This is a slip up. Give me Cal on the money line. Caleb Lewis going to start falling apart here at this point. I feel like, look, I love him, man. I hope he does go on, and I have big questions on him moving forward. The questions to me are going to get greater each week. I believe more and more pressure coming on uh, uh, Caleb Williams moving forward. Give me Cal, USC. I think maybe look under USC has been putting up points with Will. This whole situation has been great. Last 27 games, they've gone 21-6 to the over, 19-7 to the over. Last 26 in conference, 38-17 to the over overall. In this series, it's 14-4 to the under. Last 18, 7-2 to the under. Last 9. This is a time of the year where Cal in conference starts to go under, even when they're terrible. So Cal's been going over as an underdog and in conference, but I've got right now Williams. I've got sell your stock on Williams, and I'm taking Cal here. It doesn't matter who they have. They're a team. They're not great. I get that. But I think Williams, how can you be focused right now? You're talking a bunch of things that make no sense. You're at the Laker game until late at night, sitting in the front row like you're somebody. And Ray says go under here. I couldn't agree more.